Something ancient lies buried beneath these waters, hidden from the world for centuries. Beneath the shifting surface of the sea, beyond the reach of sunlight, rests a place once filled with voices, footsteps, and daily routines. Time has erased its presence from memory, but the ocean has preserved its remains. What appears now as a silent seabed was once solid ground, a thriving coastal town whose existence ended without warning. The water above conceals more than stone and sand. It holds the final moments of an entire community. These ruins belonged to a coastal town lost centuries ago, long before written records could fully capture its story. Built close to the shore, the settlement thrived on trade, fishing, and daily life shaped by the sea. Stone homes lined narrow streets, carefully constructed to withstand wind and rain, but not the immense force that would one day arrive without mercy. Today, those stone homes rest beneath layers of sand, pressed down by centuries of sediment, their walls still standing as quiet witnesses to disaster. A staircase disappears into the seabed, leading nowhere and everywhere at once. It once connected levels of a home, guiding residents between rooms filled with warmth, tools, and family life. Now it leads only into darkness. The town was swallowed suddenly by the sea, not over generations, but in a single catastrophic event. There was no time to flee, no gradual retreat inland. Only chaos, water, and destruction. Everyday life ended here without warning. Meals were interrupted. Conversations were cut short. Household objects remain where they fell. Pots, tools, fragments of furniture, left untouched since the moment disaster struck. The settlement collapsed under immense force, as waves tore through streets and foundations failed beneath the weight of rushing water. A victim of the tsunami still rests here. Bones lie where a body once struggled, trapped beneath falling stone and flooding currents. The disaster struck without time to escape. Time has erased everything except the bones, stripping away identity while preserving the evidence of loss. This person never escaped the flooding waves, and neither did many others whose remains still lie hidden beneath sand and debris. Homes were torn apart in seconds. Walls fractured, roofs collapsed, and entire structures were dragged from their foundations. Tools lie abandoned where they fell, never picked up again. The town streets collapsed under the surge, turning pathways of daily movement into channels of destruction. Divers now follow what was once a street, gliding slowly above stone paths where people once walked side by side. Entire neighborhoods now lie underwater, stretching farther than visibility allows. Carvings hint at daily life long ago, symbols etched into stone, patterns that once decorated homes or public buildings. More victims remain undiscovered, buried beneath layers of sediment, waiting in silence. This town was lost in a single day, erased from the living world almost instantly. The diver moves deeper into the ruined town, passing doorways and collapsed walls. Streets remain frozen beneath the sand, preserved like a snapshot of the past. Buildings collapsed as water rushed in, but many were never disturbed again after the sea settled. Household items still sit in place, untouched by human hands for centuries. Doorways lead into buried homes, their interiors sealed by sediment. Some residents never made it outside. The tsunami trapped people indoors, cutting off escape routes in moments. Community structures still stand underwater, places where people once gathered, shared news, traded goods, and celebrated life. The lost town stretches far beyond view, fading into darkness. The diver enters what was once a public square. Large structures once stood here, marking the center of town. Pillars fell as foundations gave way, crashing into streets below. The center of town lies in ruins, its importance now known only through scattered stone and layout. Market activity ended in an instant. Trade goods remained scattered across the seabed, weights, containers, fragments of tools, silent reminders of interrupted commerce. Daily commerce was frozen by catastrophe. The square became a graveyard. Human remains lie among the ruins, mingled with broken stone and sand. Life ended suddenly here, without ceremony or farewell. The diver carefully documents each discovery, moving slowly, respectfully, knowing that every artifact tells a silent story. The sea preserved what land could not. Structures collapsed but were never disturbed again by rebuilding or human interference. Sediment sealed the town in time, creating a natural archive beneath the waves. Nature slowly reclaimed the ruins. Coral and algae now cover stone streets, softening edges once sharp with purpose. Fish move through what were once homes, weaving through doorways and windows. The town became part of the ocean, its streets transformed into reefs, its walls into shelter for marine life. Centuries passed without human contact. Generations lived and died above, unaware of what rested below. Yet here it remains, a town frozen at the moment of its destruction. A place where time stopped, where history waits patiently beneath the water. The silence is heavy, but it speaks volumes. Each stone, each artifact, each bone tells the story of a community that lived, worked, and vanished in a single, unforgiving day. And as the diver slowly ascends, leaving the ruins behind, the town returns to its quiet slumber beneath the waves, unchanged, undisturbed, and still waiting to be remembered. The diver continues along collapsed streets, moving forward with deliberate care, aware that every motion disturbs a place that has remained still for centuries. Beneath the water, the streets no longer guide movement the way they once did. They dip and rise unpredictably, broken by collapse and softened by time. Stone slabs that once felt the steady rhythm of daily footsteps now lie misaligned, partially buried, their edges blurred by sand. The diver follows these paths slowly, not because the route is clear, but because the past still lingers in their shape. Each stretch of road suggests direction, habit, and repetition, proof that people once moved here without thinking, unaware that these streets would one day lead nowhere. Roof beams rest where they fell, scattered across the remains of homes like quiet punctuation marks in a sentence that ended too abruptly. The wood has darkened, weakened, and partially dissolved, but its position remains unchanged. Wooden structures decayed in silence, untouched by fire, untouched by tools, untouched by hands attempting repair. They surrendered slowly to the water, fiber by fiber, while the stone around them endured. Stone walls remain partially intact, standing at uneven heights, sometimes rising just enough to form corners, sometimes leaning at angles that suggest the moment gravity finally won. The layout of homes is still visible, not as complete structures, but as impressions, outlines etched into the seabed, revealing how closely people once lived together. Living spaces are frozen beneath sand, sealed like rooms locked at the instant life stopped. Within these spaces, nothing suggests preparation for abandonment. There are no signs of rebuilding, no cleared rubble, no replacement materials. The town was never reclaimed. No one returned to gather what remained. Abandonment became permanent, not by choice, but by circumstance. The sea claimed everything, not with intention, but with overwhelming force. What could not resist was taken, and what remained was pressed into stillness. As the diver moves deeper into the settlement, the destruction becomes more severe. Deeper sections reveal further collapse, where larger buildings once stood. These structures, heavier and broader, suffered complete failure when the ground beneath them shifted. Foundations moved under pressure, stones grinding against one another as water surged through streets and open spaces. The weight of architecture, designed for land, became too much when the land itself gave way. Walls folded inward, floors disappeared, and roofs followed, leaving behind layered debris that settled unevenly across the town. Streets were buried unevenly, their surfaces warped by the energy of moving water. Some paths vanished entirely beneath thick sediment, while others remained faintly traceable, their lines curving into darkness. The force of water reshaped the land, altering elevation and direction, erasing familiar patterns and replacing them with randomness. Natural light barely reaches these depths. What light remains is filtered, scattered, and weak, dissolving into blue-gray shadow long before it touches the ground. Darkness hides untouched areas, places beyond reach where the town continues without witness. Many ruins remain unexplored. The settlement extends farther than expected, stretching beyond visibility, beyond mapped sections, beyond certainty. Its full size remains unknown, concealed by distance, sediment, and time. Fires never followed this disaster. There is no ash here, no charring, no evidence of heat or conflict. Only water and silence arrived. No signs of battle exist. No weapons lie scattered. No defensive structures suggest preparation for attack. This was not human violence. This was a natural catastrophe, sudden and absolute. The tsunami left no survivors behind. There are no indications of organized escape, no regrouping points, no signs of life resuming elsewhere nearby. The town vanished without warning. History recorded nothing of its final moments. No surviving accounts describe the sound of the waves, the collapse of walls, or the confusion of those trapped within their homes. Written records are silent. Oral tradition never carried its story forward. Only the seabed kept its memory. Above the surface, centuries erased all human presence. Coastlines shifted. New settlements formed in safer places. Trade routes changed. Names were lost. Generations passed without knowledge of what lay below. The land moved on, reshaped by weather, growth, and time. Below, everything remained. The ocean became a time capsule, sealing the town in cold, darkness, and pressure. What collapsed was never cleared. What fell was never moved again. Time slowed, then nearly stopped. As the diver reaches the town's edge, the ruins begin to thin. Sand grows deeper, swallowing the last fragments of walls and streets. Structures fade gradually into darkness, dissolving into indistinct shapes. Debris marks the final boundary: scattered stones, fractured beams, remnants that suggest the settlement once extended no further. Beyond this point, nothing remains. The settlement ends here, not with a wall or barrier, but with absence. What survives is fragile. Stone that endured centuries could crumble with careless contact. Wood that remained in place could disintegrate with disturbance. Even the sediment itself plays a role in preservation, holding everything exactly where it has rested for generations. Disturbance could erase it forever. In a place like this, documentation becomes preservation. Recording replaces rebuilding. Observation replaces interaction. The diver prepares to ascend, knowing that leaving is also a form of respect. As distance increases, the ruins fade behind drifting sediment, slowly dissolving back into obscurity. The town returns to silence, undisturbed by the brief human presence. The sea resumes its stillness. No movement remains among the stones. Only history lingers below, suspended between memory and oblivion. The disaster is long over. The waves that destroyed this place have long since broken on other shores. But their consequences remain visible here, written into collapsed streets and fractured walls. The ocean keeps its secrets well. This town will never rise again. Centuries later, it still lies beneath the waves, unchanged, unseen, and intact in its silence, waiting not for rescue, not for rebuilding, but simply to exist as it is, a moment in time, preserved forever below the surface.